Selecting a domain name. If you're building a brand new website, you'll need to select a domain name. Domain names are simply part of the website address between the www and the first /. For instance, if we're using the example www.paypal.com, the domain name in the example is paypal.com. Here are some thoughts about how to select an excellent domain name for your website project. Your selection of a domain will be related to your brand, i.e. McDonald's, or a keyword phrase-based concept. And in both cases, you'll be tying your domain name to something familiar. If you have an established brand, then you will try to incorporate that into your domain. This can sometimes mean using something that is qualified by your geography if you belong to a franchise or a chain. An example of such a qualification might be nationalbaitshops-kansas.com. In this example, the proprietor needs to differentiate himself from the other national bait shops and does so by tacking on Kansas. In the case of a keyword-based domain name, you must focus on a keyword phrase that relates to a concept, which your ideal audience is searching for. One of my customers has recently self-published a book that advises pet owners on how they can save money on their vet bills. While the domain name theinsidevetguy.com seemed like a logical choice for a domain name at first, we ultimately decided to use loweryourvetbill.com. The advantage was that the new name focused on a concept that was central to my client's message and the product's key benefit. Selecting a keyword-based domain name. Here are some suggestions on how to come up with an effective keyword-based domain name. When you first begin your domain name search, it helps to have 5 terms or phrases in mind that best describe the domain you are seeking. Once you have this list, you can start to pair them or add prefixes and suffixes to encourage good ideas. For instance, if you're launching a mortgage-related domain, you might start with words like mortgage, finance, home equity, interest rate, house payment, and then play around until you find a good match. The importance of brevity. When picking a domain name, give preference to the shortest and most memorable choice available. Choice names are much easier to work into marketing materials. It would be ideal if you can get a .com with your selected domain name. If your first choice is not available as a .com, resist the temptation to get something with a close spelling to a domain name that has already been taken. A mistyped domain name could refer prospective clients to a competitor or some other business. Avoid choosing domains that are simply a plural, hyphenated, or misspelled version of an existing domain name. Congruence. When someone hears about your domain name for the first time, they should be able to figure out what your company does. Great examples include hotmail.com, careerbuilder.com, autotrader.com, webmd.com. Cryptic or catchy domain names like monster.com, amazon.com, and zillow.com require explanation. To deliver that explanation, you will be required to spend huge bucks trying to develop your brand. Avoid copyright infringement. This is a mistake that isn't made too often, but it can kill a great domain name. To be sure you're not infringing on anyone's copyright with your site name, visit copyright.gov or the equivalent site in your country. Hyphens and numbers make your domain name tougher to remember and tricky to convey verbally. I also strongly suggest not using Roman numerals in domain names because that's just confusing. Use a domain selection tool. Websites like Network Solutions make it easy to determine the availability of a domain name. Just remember that you don't have to buy through these services. You can just use their suggestion tool for ideas and then register the domain name with any company that you like. Domain age, sandboxing, and SEO. Older domain names tend to be taken more seriously by Google, particularly if they have been associated with a website for the balance of their existence, and that website is in good standing. Once you have selected a domain name, plan to stick with it for the long haul. New domain names and even subdomains can be interpreted as a brand new website by Google. When this happens, the domain name can be ignored for a period of time. This is called the sandbox effect from an SEO standpoint, and so replacing your domain name can be kind of like starting over from the beginning. For more information on the sandbox effect, check Wikipedia under sandbox effect.